What up, guys? Prince Sports here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. I want to talk to you guys about Tim Duncan and a flashback. We're going to go into 1998. He was being interviewed by Dan Patrick. I think Dan Patrick was working for ESPN back then. And he interviewed Tim Duncan, and he asked Tim Duncan about Michael Jordan. And he was like, "You met Michael Jordan," and all this other stuff. Tim Duncan was like, "Yeah, I met Jordan, but, I don't like Michael Jordan." And he's like, "Why you don't like Michael Jordan? Because everybody else does?" And he was like, "No, I don't like Michael Jordan because I don't like Michael Jordan." I never really been impressed with Michael Jordan, So he said he respects him, but he's not really impressed with him. So, a lot of people, I guess, saying Tim Duncan, you read a lot of their posts, they were saying Tim Duncan is disrespectful towards Mike and all this type of stuff. Listen, man, it's telling for all those people that going over the top for Mike. Listen, it's okay. You're allowed to not like somebody. You're allowed to dislike something. The guy said he respected Michael Jordan. He just wasn't a fan of Michael Jordan. He's a big. He played a different style of basketball, so it makes sense, all the sense in the world, that he wouldn't be a fan of Michael Jordan to a certain extent. That doesn't mean he's a hater. He's just a guy that, wasn't too impressed with Mike. There's nothing wrong with that. I think people get so caught up sometimes with thinking if you don't go head over heels in love with Michael Jordan, you're some type of hater. People do the same thing for not just Michael Jordan, but they do the same thing for LeBron James. If you say you're not the biggest LeBron James fan in the world, you're automatically labeled as a hater. And if you like LeBron James, you're considered an over the top fanboy. There's like no in between. There's no black and white when it comes to LeBron James fans. I think people are a little crazy and overboard with that. Whatever happened to being objective and just liking stuff and having a valid reason to why you think this or that? Why does there have to be a hidden agenda towards everything? So I'm gonna come out in Tim Duncan's defense a little bit. He don't have to be a over the top Michael Jordan fan. It's understandable, man. Just because for all you people that go crazy and overboard for Michael Jordan, listen, man. Michael Jordan didn't invent basketball. I'm sorry to tell you guys that. Basketball been around before Michael Jordan, and it's gonna be here long after Mike. There's nothing wrong with thinking Mike is the GOAT. Plenty of people do. I think Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but I never shove that down in your face and force you to say that Michael Jordan's the GOAT. I have never done that to nobody. I stated my valid reasons why I think Mike is the greatest of all time. But that's just me. You may look at stuff and be like, okay, you know what? I don't perceive that, as being GOAT. I think such and such, There's always room for debate with that, I made several videos with debating for Mike and LeBron, and their numbers and things like that. And I gave valid reasons to why I think Mike is the best, But this raises a question. Tim Duncan is his own man. He don't have to ask his Michael Jordan. He was a professional basketball player himself. He's regarded as the greatest power forward of all time. He is the greatest power forward of all time to me. He's definitely up there. He's Mr. Fundamental, man. This guy had the jump shot that hit over the backboard all the time, which got kind of annoying. It was kind of boring to watch. But when it comes to being efficient, Tim Duncan was great. He was a great basketball player. And it raises the question, what would have happened if he met Michael Jordan in the 1999 NBA Finals? Because the Spurs went to the Finals. It was a lockout shortened season. I don't know if the Bulls would have got there because it was just the end of the road for those guys, because the Bulls at the time wasn't going to sign Scottie Pippen to a big contract. they weren't going to sign a lot of those other guys that were free agents, and they would have to come off some of those contracts and re-sign some of those guys. They had to cough up some money, salary cap issues, things of that nature. You know, somebody would have to a lot of players would have to been taking some pay cuts. Do I think Phil Jackson would have returned? I think he probably would have returned if Jerry Krause didn't told him what he told him. You know, he probably would have said, "Hey, one more shot." Now, if the Bulls came back with that same squad, assuming no injuries, they were fully healthy, I think they would have beaten the '99 Spurs. You know, that would have been their last championship. But let's say Mike went to the team that he tortured for years, which was my Knicks. Okay, the Knicks made it to the finals in '99. They were the 8th seed, making it to the finals. You know, if I'm not mistaken. Had to go back and remember stuff like that. So they made it to the finals, and you know they had a decent squad. But you add Patrick Ewing with Michael Jordan, and then you would had Larry Johnson, a good supporting cast. You know, Allen Houston, I believe he was on that team, if I'm not mistaken, because this is all from top here. When I drop knowledge of basketball, it's always based off, you know, what I remember. And it takes a lot to remember stuff going back into the past, you know. But I've been around basketball since the 80s. I've been here on YouTube basketball probably since like 2005 or a little later than that. Came up with Bruce Blitz. If some of you may not know who Bruce Blitz is, I'm one of the guys that came up with him. You know, we go way back. I haven't talked to him in years. I don't know what he's even up to now. But I digress. Listen, it's not the end of the world for over-the-top Jordan fans. This is my message to you guys. It's okay for somebody not to like somebody, okay? And it's okay for somebody not to be seriously impressed with them, you know? Do I think Mike would have gave Tim Duncan the business in that season? Yes. But that's another story for another day. Tim Duncan is more than enough respected to have his own opinion and to state why he's not too impressed with Michael Jordan. Tim Duncan was always the type of guy that stayed low-key. He never disrespected nobody. So maybe he didn't like Mike for some personal reason that none of us know about, you know? Maybe it's some incident off the court, because Mike did rub some people the wrong way, you know? We would never know that, you know, but all I know was that Last Dance documentary came out. You can mark Tim Duncan as one of the guys on that list that didn't care about Michael Jordan. So, you know, there you have it. You know, I don't know if there was a hidden beef. If there is, comment down below and tell me if you know something that maybe even I don't know. Peace.